All right.
Hey, Patrick.
How's it going? I always start it the same way. I want to sometimes say something different, but I always end up just saying, "Hey, how's it going?" But anyways, um, today, I know we've been talking a lot about hybrids, and I wanted just to kind of talk about some of the spin-friendly hybrid setups, and we could just have a little chat about that, and kind of throw up some of the new information that we have, and maybe find some new setups.
Yeah, I've got a lot of new strings in mind. I had kind of fun with this, and I'm like, so many times we can hear about all the power players in the stringing world, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
I've got a lot of new
Yeah.
strings in mind.
Sorry, I have my other computer up here, and for some reason I've got the sound coming through it. So hold
Yeah, I was
on
gonna
one
say I'm getting
second.
a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback. So here, let me just turn off my mic. Sorry, yeah, just a little technical difficulty there.
No problem.
But yeah, I must have had it playing on the other computer. But yeah, okay. So let's just get right into it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
let's
didn't
just get.
really, I didn't make I just did 5. These are in no particular order. I kind of went with the science of it a little bit and looked at the kind of string to string friction ratio, looking for the slippery strings that are going to give a lot of snapback, as well as strings with a lot of spin potential.
Mhm.
So I figured with those two factors. So the first
Yeah,
one
and
I
we
came,
didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I bet you out of kind of 5 that we wanted to kind of highlight today, there's got to be some similarity at least in one of them, I would guess.
maybe, although I went way off the chart here. So
Oh, okay. So you might have gone a little.
I'm gonna bet. Well, who knows?
Yeah, who
I
knows?
may have one or two of the sames, but not the same combinations because I just went a little haywire here.
Right, right. Well,
So,
okay.
but
So
I
I
started out with RPM Blast Rough 17,
okay.
and I just wrote down the science of all these. So, 196 string stiffness, so relatively soft polyester, 36% tension loss, 9.9 string
Hmm.
potential, and the string to string friction. The lower the number, the more slippery the string is. In a sense, that's 0.057, which is a really low number for that snapback. And I paired that up with another polyester, Gamma IO Soft 16, which is a 200 string stiffness, 6.1 spin potential, 34 tension lost, and 0.069. So both really slippery kind of strings that will move very well. And of course, the RPM Blast Rough in the mains is a very grippy string. So, with that 9.9. So that's where I started.
Yeah, that's. Uh, I did not have that one on my list, and that's just because of RPM being kind of that really stiff poly, and just I wanted to kind of veer off a little bit and try to get a little bit more grip on the ball. So one
Well,
that I
the rough is not that stiff compared to the other. It's under
oh
200
yeah.
at
So
196. So yeah,
and that's
but
pretty good, and that's pretty good for a poly. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. So yeah, I think one that I would go with would be Volkl Cyclone.
yes, good
And
one.
that's like a gear shaped, right? That's kind of a gear shaped string. It's a 17 gauge, a 125, and I didn't do all of my homework on some of these things, but you know what I'm going to do is I got my Tennis Warehouse site up as well, so I'm just gonna bring up the Cyclone real quick and kind of get
Yeah.
those numbers.
Well, you looked that up. I was going to mention something to you about CC and
Mhm.
how last year he was in a full bed of 4G, and I just couldn't believe it. That's a really stiff string, super stiff and hard on the arm.
Right.
Come to find out, his elbow's been bothering him for a couple of years. He just had surgery in the off season back in November, and probably in large part due to the string. So
Mhm.
I asked a couple folks, what is he using now? Some thought he went to a hybrid setup with natural gut. I emailed Noel, who's down in Australia. You remember we had spoken to Noel,
Mhm.
um, at that symposium.
Symposium.
Yep, and he was fairly confident when I asked him what is CCPA using now, and he said CCPA switched from a full bed of 4G to a full bed of ALU power, which is like 70 points lower on the stiffness category. So,
but it sounds like he still wants to get the other properties from that string, so he's not willing to go too far off the.
Yeah, well, he left the 4G, went to ALU power. It's softer, but you know, one of the pictures I saw
Is he sponsored?
of him,
Is he sponsored by?
that's
by
a good
Babylon?
question, because I asked Andreas in Belgium, right? Andreas,
Right.
who's with Luxelon, and he wasn't certain. He was trying to, you know, kind of find out also what's going on. And that's when I also asked Noel, and Noel got back to me right away because he's down in Australia. So I figured maybe Noel saw his racket come through or something. But I swear, one of the pictures I saw up close looked like it could have been ALU power in the mains, because it was just, I mean, there's more than one string with that color, but it looked like natural gut in the crosses. But he swore it was a full bed of you know, ALU power. So anyway,
It's
yeah.
funny, yeah. It's funny that string though. Actually, Volkl, the Cyclone, I can't find any numbers on that one. That one might not have been tested.
Okay, yeah, that happens.
And you know, yeah, not all the strings are going to have have that, but I can at least see what Tennis Warehouse what they have on that string as far as numbers, because I don't have any of that information otherwise.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and I think let's see here.
Well, if you want, I can do another one of mine while you pull that up.
Oh, hold on. I think I got it. So yeah, the Cyclone, and yeah, they don't list the numbers here, but basically it's just really good for, hitting a heavy spin. We know that. Excellent pocketing. Yeah, they don't really tell you a whole lot of stuff there. So we're just going to have to go off of that. I think that's one that I would try just because of the gear.
I almost
shape.
picked that one.
Yeah. Did you? Oh, okay. Yeah. Because Volkl kind of just doesn't get a lot of representation here, and we don't see it promoted a lot or anything like that. And I know Volkl's not doing as much as they used to, so it's a little harder to get hold of it sometimes. But I think it's definitely worth looking at.
So that was your main?
Yep, that was my mains. And you know what? For the crosses, I just kind of have, you can put for the crosses any of the ones that I'm listing here. Basically, what I'm thinking is try some new multi-filaments in the crosses, and I would say 9 out of 10 times go with the 17 gauge. Mm-hmm. If you really are confident that, some of the multi-filaments have that extra layer to kind of protect it a little bit from friction in cases like this. And I think one of them that has that, I think it was Head Reflex, or I don't remember if it was, I think Head Reflex had a coating on it. And so, because you have to think about that a little bit, right? If you're going to put a thin multi-filament in the cross of a string that you have like a gear, or it has 6 or 8 sharp sides or whatever, what's it going to do to the string,
right?
And so you kind of got to think about that a little bit. So I try to choose some multi-filaments that have maybe a little extra layer of maybe I guess more of a durability layer on it or something like that, right? Whatever you want to call that. So some of those strings that I chose, again, 17 gauge Head Reflex MLT. Okay, that's a pretty decent price. And Technifibre Multifeel 17. That one, is a little bit more pricey, right? But I like that one. And Yonex Rex's Comfort. That's also kind of an expensive one, but that's a 16 light. I think that's a really good string.
Nice string. I've been stringing that a little bit for some folks.
Yeah. So those are some of the ones that I would put in any of the hybrids that I'm talking about here with the mains. I don't have a
Gotcha.
specific one. It just kind of depends on if you've tried any of these, or if you haven't, I would, definitely try something new, because generally my go-to is always Wilson NXT or Wilson Sensation, right? Those are the two that I always put in the crosses for a lot of these hybrids. But I thought, well, you know what? Try some of these other ones that are comparable. If you want to, something that's in the same price range as an NXT, then you have the Technifibre Multifeel, or maybe that Yonex one. But you can do it for half the price, really, if you go with that head reflex, or
Even Sensation.
Even Sensation. There's so many options with that, and they all keep the tension pretty well. I don't really think you have to worry too much about the multi-filament keeping the tension as you do with the polyester mains, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have a couple that joined us again. We got Savev again joined us.
Hey, folks.
And then we have I can't
Maria.
pronounce the other name. Yeah.
Maria.
Yeah, Maria was. Yeah. Oh, you can see it on your side too. Okay.
I just clicked on it.
Yeah. So so that's kind of what I got for some of that. I guess it's you can go on your next one if you want.
All right, I just went with Weiss Cannon Ultra Cable 17.
Oh, yep, I had that one too.
Yeah, I mean, that's always up there, 11.9 in the spin potential category. That's, I mean, out of this orbit, really. And it's a soft string also, 175 string stiffness. So that's right around some of the multifilaments. The tension loss is severe at 48% tension loss.
Yeah.
But it's also got tremendous string-to-string friction. So it's a very slippery, string that's going to do well in a spin potential, right? As part of that low friction. And
it's just with that tension loss that, I mean, I chose that one too, just because of that spin potential. But that's the one thing, is that tension loss that really keeps me from really maybe.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
I strung a racket yesterday real quick for a guy, what was it? Ashaway Monogut ZX, and it lost 6 pounds overnight. And that's a 46% tension loss also. Just 6 pounds overnight. So anyway, and I paired up the Weiss Cannon Ultra Cable with the Yonex Polytor Drive 125, which again, these two are horrible for tension maintenance, but for the string to string friction, very low, and 7.6 spin potential. So you're gonna restring that because of the severity of the tension loss.
And I don't know, maybe you want to talk a little bit about that the friction number, because I don't know if everybody knows what that number is.
So I did took just a screenshot, just so if you wanted me to read a little bit of that, I could. So it's a lower number means it's a more slippery string. So they talk about snapback, right? When you're hitting topspin, the main string will pull down and then it snaps back, and part of that snapback is what gives the spin on the ball. So you want to look for something with a good low COF number, string to string. They call it the string to string coefficient of friction, is the ratio of the friction force divided by the normal force pushing the strings together. So, I mean, if you're a scientist, you may find this interesting. I just tell me what it means, and I look for a low number, and I know I'm going to get it. But if anyone wants to hear this, the friction force opposes the main string's efforts to slide sideways back and forth across the cross strings during impact. The normal force is the force pushing the mains and crosses together, and it is a combination of string tension and impact force. Strings with a low string to string COF will slide more readily and increase ball spin during the snapback phase. The string to string COF is only a measure of a string sliding on itself. Separate measurements would need to be done for each string sliding on another model of string. This is because materials slide differently on each other than they do on themselves. So that's a very good point also. We'd need a little bit more scientific analysis, because we're doing hybrids. But you know, I'm just figuring if both of them have a really low, I figure it's probably better than some that don't. So that's why I'm going with that. But
Yeah.
yes, Pa was using 4G with natural gut against Perry yesterday. Is that right? Okay, so that's
Hmm.
great information. And I'm not surprised by that because I saw a photo of Pa and I swear it was natural gut in the crosses. So I think you may be right there saying that although it didn't look, did it, I guess it could have been for it. Where did you hear that? Was it? I looked in his press conferences. Um, you know, where'd you
Using
get that
4G.
information? I'm
And natural gut, huh? Well,
yeah,
that's a nice soft.
yeah. After 2 years of being in pain with your elbow, you
Mm.
know, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, back to those stiffness numbers. The one number I like is that spin potential number.
Yeah,
I do like that number because
yep,
it
and
it really is telling in a lot of these things. Because earlier you were talking about RPM blast, right?
yeah.
Well, the spin potential on that's 4.5, right? My
I
next.
no, I had RPM blast rough, and it's
Oh, okay,
9.9.
yeah. I
It's
was looking. The string I was looking to say, talk about next was the Kirshbaum Spiky Black Shark.
oh,
And that one has a spin potential of 7.4, while like RPM Blast has 4.5. I don't know if RPM Blast. What did you say you had rough?
RPM blast rough 17.
Okay, see that one has whoa. Okay, yeah, that one has a 9.9. I think you
Yeah,
might have said that earlier and
yeah.
stuff. So that one definitely blows that out of the water. And actually, the Kirschbaum is about the same stiffness as that one. Um, but check out this tension loss. I should have looked at this ahead of time, but usually I didn't have enough time to look at all the tension losses on these strings
Yeah.
when I was choosing them. 53%.
For what, Kirschbaum?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm not recommending that one. I'm just talking about it. I'm just talking about the Kirschbaum. I mean, I like some of the Kirschbaum strings, but when you think about the 53% tension loss, I
You're
think
just
I'm.
talking to the Nadals and Federers out there
Yeah,
that may
right.
be
I
getting
mean,
your
if you're only going to need to play with it for a day or two, that's fine. But otherwise, yeah, I'm going to say no to that one. Sorry, everybody, that one's out. And I even RPM Blast Rough, that's 36%, and I think that's high. I don't want to go much higher than that, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I know.
okay, so that one's out. So I'll go to. I had one other one that I wanted to talk about. I forget which one it was. I think I lost my paper. It, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go to. You can go.
Well, I
next
had
one.
a Luxelon Element, 16 gauge, which is a 1.3. It's a 191 string stiffness, relatively soft polyester. Not great tension, though. Maintenance 44%. The string potential is okay at 6.6. It's got a great string-to-string friction, so it's great for snapback. And I paired that up with a nylon Babolat Original 17, which has a 171 string stiffness, 17% tension loss,
Hmm.
6.4 spin potential, and a great, very low string-to-string friction. So, if they both are, work together, it could be quite a good amount of snapback.
Yeah, definitely. I was just looking to see if I had my chart. I should have brought that up. I couldn't. I've been looking for it because I had it on my computer and then I sort of misplaced it where I had all my polys that I
Oh yeah,
reviewed. Because I have the one with all my multi-filaments on it, but I can't find the ones with my poly string on it. So unfortunately, because otherwise I could look at some of the ones that have some better string potential. Because we got to get one that's got a lower number.
oh, for tension loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got one with a lower
Okay.
number.
All right. Let's go with that then. We'll go with some of the ones you have.
I'm going with Weiss Cannon again, but the blue Rockin' Power.
Hmm.
Okay, it's a 224 spin potential or a string stiffness, so it's not
Mhm.
horrible. Whereas 4G's at like 270 something,
Right.
but this is 224. The tension loss is 27%, which is pretty good for a polyester. To be in the 20s. The spin potential is 11.1. That's a pretty high number, right? Spin
Mhm.
potential 11.1.
Yeah.
And it's
Because
it's
it
got
doesn't go
great.
much higher. It doesn't go much higher than that.
I don't think so.
I yeah. Most. Wow. That's
Wilson
wild.
Ultra or Weiss Cannon Ultra cable was 11.9. but the Weiss Cannon Blue Rockin' Power is 11.1, and it's got a great string to string friction 0.059, which is going to be phenomenal for snapback because it's going to slide well across the strings. And I paired that up with Wilson Revolve 16, which is a soft poly at 184. Horrible tension maintenance, again 45% tension loss, 7.2 string potential, 0.06 string to string friction. It's again, and for you, the listeners out there, all these numbers come right off Tennis Warehouse University for me. So you know, if you want to look at these numbers and understand them more, just go to Tennis Warehouse University and click on strings, and then there's some subcategories, and you can click on
you can
string.
do all sorts of, you can compare, like if you have a certain string that you're using right now, you can look for that under the pull down menus, and then compare it to a string that you're thinking about trying. Or I think there's even an option of similar type strings and so forth. So there's all sorts of ways that you can look up strings based on what's property that you're specifically looking for.
Right.
And
yeah.
And you know, it's funny, all of the ones that we're talking about today, because we're talking about hybrids, we're not necessarily talking about poly strings, but all the ones that we've chosen to put in the mains are poly strings. And there's a lot of reasons for that, right? Because that's where a lot of them, theoretically, that's where, you know, we're thinking that a lot of spin is going to be coming from. I mean, you know, we could, you know, rebut that. And I mean, we could debate that as far as, is that really, are we really getting spin from textured strings? But there is potential in that, you know, outside of the way that you hit the ball and so forth, and what kind of racket you have. But when you look in general, if you look at the multifilaments and their spin potential, they're all around 3 to 5%.
Correct.
I mean, they don't have a lot of spin potential. So when we're talking about 9 and 12, I mean, that's significant, right?
It really is.
That's like
we had one question. Anybody know what string Gael Monfils is using in his new Artango racket? I don't, but what's interesting this time of year is I'm seeing a trend with stringers taking notes at tournaments and then putting them online somewhere.
Yeah.
So we may, in the next couple of weeks, start getting some stuff online of all the player setups at the Australian Open or some of the Australian tournaments. I think they probably go into Asia next, also up in, I don't know if they're in China or Japan or where they go after this, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the setups that have been going on the first couple months of the year, because I'm interested to know exactly what these players are using also, and what tension, what new strings. So
and you know what, it changes. It can change from tournament to tournament, based on surface, based on you know, the atmosphere, you know, I mean, just based on altitude, you know, there's so many different variables. So I mean, you know, sure, there's a lot of players that stick with the same string, you know, year after year, maybe change the tension up, you know, based on what tournament they're at and where they're at. But you know, there are players that do switch occasionally. So, you know,
well, Leighton Hewitt, Leighton Hewitt did a little video about the stringers room at the Australian Open this year. Did you see that? I think you hit the mute button.
Oh, for this year? You saw it for this year? Because I was looking for something for this year. I didn't see it for this year yet. Oh,
yeah, wow. I'll send. I just saw it earlier this morning, and he said a couple of the. He said, you know, Leighton said, I was pretty tough on the stringers. Do you have any tough players that you're dealing with? And he said he had a couple players who wanted him to slightly, like, change the shape of the racket by the string job, you know? So whether or not they didn't clamp it enough on the sides, or it's almost like he wanted to square it off a little bit more than it was. It seemed like so bizarre. I'd love to find out exactly what he meant by that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it was kind of neat and stuff, what he was talking about, but it was just wild to see that you know, that the players are doing that. Matter of fact, they mentioned the names of the stringers who they interviewed and where they're from. So I made some notes, so I may try to reach out to a couple of them and see.
Exactly I haven't. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Thai Tennis Shop, Australian Open. Yeah, I was kind of looking at, because sometimes, you know, you can just Google and you can find those videos. But I just found one video it says Australian Open 2022 official stringer, but I think that's just one of the stringers doing a little video on, just a quick little video. He must be one of the stringers, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see much, but yeah, the room's looking about maybe. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I recognize any of the stringers. Yeah, there's probably a few there that are still stringing from, because now it's the Yonex team, so Yonex
Yeah,
is
that's
doing the
right.
stringing.
And Hewitt's a Yonex player, right? So
Yeah,
that's why they had Hewitt go in there, had a Yonex shirt on
yeah,
and stuff. So
that totally makes sense. But yeah, I'm gonna have to send me that link, because I wasn't able to find it by just a quick Google search. So,
okay.
but
It was
yeah.
probably on one of those Facebook,
Yeah,
Unstrung
yeah, yeah. Because
Heroes or
every
whatever.
year, because that happens. I remember, being at the tournaments every single year. There's always an interview. There's always for the stringing room, because it's always a story, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll place it in their news somewhere, and they'll interview a couple stringers and they'll walk through, and yeah, it's kind of interesting when they have a player doing it too and stuff.
Yeah.
One of the players and stuff. So it's always kind of fun. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so PCS Stringing was just wondering. Yeah, he joined us again this week. Yeah, welcome back. He's just wondering how long we've been going. Yeah, we've already been going for about 25 minutes. So we're just kind of chatting now. We were talking a little bit about some of the hybrid
Setups
for spin, and we were talking mostly about in the mains, of course, polyester and some of the tension loss, and so that's kind of I guess the idea is some of the things that we're bringing up. Some of these we would definitely recommend. Other ones we're just like, hey, let's just talk about it, because really sometimes we hear things about, oh, this is a good string, try this, this is a good string, but really when you look at the numbers, when you look at the actual string loss, the tension loss, or you look at the spin potential, that's how you can make some of maybe a better judgment call on what strings to maybe try next.
Because
you are gonna because you are gonna pay some money on that. Look at the science of it, right? Exactly.
That's a good comment by Save there. So thank you for looking into that. So what he's finding is that he was using ALU power with gut, but now he's back to 4G, and 4G is going to have much better control. It's a super stiff string. So interesting. But after elbow surgery, I guess if he is using the gut and the crosses, that's going to really help a ton.
Right. And I'd be surprised if a player actually changes right at a new tournament, like at a Grand Slam like this.
Totally.
Maybe if they're practicing a week, if they're coming here early and they've got a couple extra days to practice, then maybe trying something different because they wanted to get, just a little bit, or it could be, if they're playing a certain player too, if they're looking to get a little bit extra on
we need to get in cahoots with a reporter that travels around the world into these player press conferences. We want someone that only asks questions about the strings in there.
Yeah, that would be good, because nobody ever asked. I know I've sat in on many of those things, and nobody ever asked those.
Yeah, they don't ask, and I just want to know about the string setups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because 99% of the people in there are not going to care about that, but really, if we had that information, I think it would really help other stringers, or be just fun
yeah, right,
just tidbits of tennis stuff,
sure,
because that's the kind of stuff that everybody wants to know about, right? Because when you're actually at a tournament, the fun part of that is just kind of like seeing, oh yeah, look at this racket, this isn't really the actual racket that you see in the store that he's promoting, and then you're looking at the string patterns and they're all different, and then you're just looking at, oh, this is what he's actually playing with, oh, he switched, so it's fun to be there for that, not the 15-hour days, but more for that.
As far as I know, the strings, what they're using is what they're using. It's not like the rackets where it might be painted to look like something.
Yeah.
Well, at least, we don't know if they're using that racket really. So we can't, but what string they're using, and it actually is the string they're using. So it's
definitely.
Yeah. 4G is the least favorite to string in the. Okay. Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience stringing 4G. I don't have many that have used it.
Yeah, actually, Kirshbaum's probably my least favorite to string, the spiky strings or anything like that. but that's
Okay.
usually if you're doing it in a full bed, you know, if you're doing it in a hybrid. But, you know, that's the thing is with a lot of these, you know, let's compare this. I don't know, Brad, what do you think about this? So if we have one of these real spiky kind of strings or you know, the string that has 4 to 6 edges or whatever on it, right? And then you have a cross string. It's not gonna bite. I mean, the strings are not gonna move a lot when you hit the ball, right? They're not gonna snap back as quick as they would if it was a smooth,
Rounded.
a rounded string within a poly, and then maybe a Duraflex, you know, string that has a Duraflex coating or some other coating on it. It's going to have a better snapback. So, you know, where could you maybe balance that? Because if you had the snapback, you know, that could possibly create the spin that you're not getting otherwise, you know. And so you don't necessarily have to go with the real spike, you know, the real textured polys.
Yeah, you have to look at your whole setup because I mean, we always say that, you know, your technique is a huge part of how much spin you're getting. So you know, depending on what level player you are, you may, you know, just focus more on your technique and learning how to hit proper topspin. But if you're an elite player and you're not able to really get more, then you look at, you know, what kind of racket, what kind of string pattern you're using. You know, if
You
you're
might even
using
change your racket. You might even change your racket
totally,
to a different pattern, you know, so that
you
you
might
can
want
get
to
that more
open.
spin. Yeah,
Yeah,
more open pattern.
16 by 20, 16 by 19, 16 by 18,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. But if you're in an 18 by 20, you're not doing yourself any favors in the spin category. You can still get spin, of course. I mean, if your
Yeah.
technique is proper and you've got good acceleration. But if you want to look at everything, you know, and you get yourself into a 14 mains,
Yeah.
16 crosses, and
Yeah. Or
you know,
thinner string or anything like that and stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
There's all sorts of options.
I thought Raducanu was using yeah, Element. Yeah, Element hybrid. Okay, LU with Element. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Luxelon Element. Yeah, I'm
I
just seeing if
had
there's any other comments. Okay.
yeah, and we had a someone asking a question on one of your videos, and I tried to answer a couple times, and it won't let the video that my answer stay. It's about tracking tension loss for a sustained period, like over a month, you know, tracking that. And for some reason, I responded twice to the guy, but the message, you know, it doesn't stay. I don't know why. But
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
it's weird. I feel bad because I didn't want the
Yeah.
guy to think I was ignoring him. But if you're watching this, yeah, I do track player string tensions, and it, you know, you lose the majority of it immediately, you know, overnight or in the first week, and then you gradually it slows down a little bit. But it, you know, you on certain strings, these strings 45 to 50% tension loss, like head links, what I string for a player in 3 weeks and about 10 to 15 hours of playing in a 16 gauge, it'll lose, you know, 11 to 14 pounds. So, I mean, these strings do lose tension. That's why if you're really, you know, serious about it and keeping track of it, there are some, you know, there are some tools for you to help track tension loss. There's some that you can use, like I use an app on my phone that listens to the harmonics and the tone, and it gives you a reading either in kilograms or pounds. Pat, I think you have a device. I used to have a device
Yeah.
that I used also. So
Electronic device, right?
yeah, so it's way past the point of just tapping the strings. I mean, we can tap our strings and know which one is looser, but
Yeah.
these actually will give you a number, you know, to
Right.
gauge.
And then you can use that and just, yeah, because it's good to, like, you know, string it, you know, and before you actually play, like, let's say you're going to play with it the next day, you know, maybe just let it sit overnight and then check it before you even play with it, just to see, you know, am I
Yeah,
losing tension on this? You know, how much am I losing? And then once you play, you know, maybe for the first week, at the end of that week, you know, check it and see where it's at,
yeah,
so that you can kind of, you know, gauge this for yourself. Because, you know, in the laboratory, when they're doing all these, you know, when they're looking at reviewing all these strings and they're doing all these tests, that's great. But sometimes you've got a different racket. You know, your racket might be a lot softer, or, you know, stiffer, or whatever it is, and different playing styles. So you might need to just do that for yourself.
Yeah.
I think.
Right.
So
it's interesting. It's fun. I mean, like we said, there's over 2,000 strings on the
Mhm.
market, you know, between gauges and kinds and
Yep.
soft now. They've got the softs, they've got the, you know, the roughs, the this, the that. So there's a ton out there. And, you know, if you go through all 2,000 and you're still not happy, then, you know, you better, you know, hit the lab and come up with your own string and see if you can find something.
Yeah.
But there's a lot out there between the rackets, the strings, and if you're not happy with any of that, see if you can find a better tennis ball that you like. You know, even in tennis balls, there's different
Yeah.
feels with.
Exactly. I mean, you know, sometimes if you're used to spending $20 on a string, you could possibly find a $10 string
Yeah,
that has some of the same characteristics, that keeps tension the same or better.
yeah,
And so you really basically just cut your cost in half by doing that, because
yeah,
if you're able to keep the tension twice as long on the string, or you're paying half the price, you know, there you go. You can string it twice as much or whatever you want to do, you know, if you
yeah,
really like that string. But there's so many different options, you know. Definitely, I mean, you know, figure out one thing that you're really trying to get out of your string, and then figure out what you need to change to get to that point. You know, if it's you know, you want to string more, you want to be able to string your racket more often,
yeah,
you know, then maybe you need to save some money on it. You know, if you want to have better tension maintenance, well, then there you go. Look for something that has all those other characters, and then just look for one that has a little bit better tension maintenance, because there's definitely lots of choices out there, you know.
yeah. Right.
So
And yeah, what do we got? PCS is talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, his opinion is the textured polys and the crosses don't do anything for increasing the spin. Yeah, you'd
yeah,
think that for the snapback and stuff too. But again, if you read that book, what is it, Pat? Technical Tennis.
yeah,
It kind of gets into that too. That it's almost just a I forget what they call it. It's almost like
um, yeah. Oh, you mean
a
as far as it's
placebo effect. You know,
yeah,
you
right,
think you're getting
yeah,
more. So if
but
you're
it's really
thinking
not.
it,
Yeah,
maybe you will generate more just because you're thinking it. You know, but
yep,
yeah, I tend to agree with you there, PCS, that you know,
yep. And
primarily it's
PCS was
coming
talking
down to
about Signum Pro uh, polyplasma.
placebo
That was
effect. Yeah.
the placebo effect, definitely.
You
I mean,
give
it happens in
Nadal a
everything.
wood racket from the 70s with natural gut in there, he's gonna blow all of our minds away with the amount of topspin that's blasting at us, right? I mean, it's right? We're still
Yeah,
gonna be blown away if he ever hit a ball against us with a wood natural gut. So it's just, you
yeah,
know, but it's nice. It's, you know, it's fun to go out there and have the data and the science and go and try it and see how it feels to you. If it feels
yep.
good, that's great.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else today, Brad. I mean, we've already been on, you know, we've been talking about 40 minutes already, so
Yeah, well,
you know,
the Australian Open's going on. We'll watch that a little bit. There's been
yep,
some Americans. Fritz, you said, did very well. He
yep.
Chilich won the other night, so that was good to see.
And even the wild cards, just to see them winning a match is really cool, because it's
Yeah,
like, you know, I mean, these are guys that would have normally not, or girls, you know, women that would normally wouldn't have been able to get into this tournament.
they're getting a hundred
You know,
thousand for losing first round, I
yeah,
think,
I
right?
know, right? So, I mean, can you imagine just that feeling, right? And being able to, I mean, and just think of the points too,
Right.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
how many rankings you'd go up just for winning one match at a Grand Slam. I
Well,
mean,
that's
that's
that. It used to be 2,000 if you win the whole tournament, so that's why. I mean,
yeah,
that one year, Mary Pierce, I think, won the Australian Open, and the next year she lost first round. So like 1,999 points came off her ranking, which is why she went from like number 2 in the world, number 19. Now Djokovic has 2,000 points, if that's what it's still worth,
yeah,
because once you earn points, they stay on your ranking for 1 year. They
1 year,
expire
yeah.
at the next tournament, that same tournament the next year. So Djokovic lost 2,000 points, but because he got to the finals of one of the remaining
Mhm.
three and won two of them, he's still number one in the world.
Yeah,
But you
and
know, with
it sounds like he's already got it all figured out for the French Open. Sounds like
oh,
they're gonna let him. Sounds like they're gonna let him in. So
I didn't
that
hear
was
that.
already
Okay.
yeah, that was already news that that you know, he's already got that set up.
Right,
So
PCS, and it's 100% right, because you're just hitting those on the vertical part of the strings, the ball. So how is any
yeah,
texture really helping you that way? It's really not.
yeah, that's
So
true. That's true.
yeah,
And really, the texture strings aren't going to give you the snapback. So why even do it in a
yeah.
full bed? You know, do some get some better properties in that
And
in
I
that
didn't
cross.
even mention Gamma Glide on my
Oh yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
string. And this is, Gamma Glide is designed
Those half
strictly
sets.
for snapback.
Yeah.
So this is a cross string. It's smooth as can be. It's got tremendous string to string friction, a low string number. So this is going to be super slippery for snapback. So that I didn't even put that on my list this time, partly because who was it that we had on a few weeks ago? He tried it and he didn't like that string. So
Oh,
again,
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
to each
remember.
your, was it Alan?
It might have been Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that is designed specifically for a string to string snapback string
Yeah,
snapback.
yeah.
There,
Yeah,
so
so that's all good. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
there's
So, but yeah, it's fun to talk about that. We mentioned some different strings tonight.
mhm.
And I actually had one more. I don't did I mention Pacific Poly Power Pro?
No, you didn't get into that one yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
so
that I had
you
one.
really dug in with Pacific. You're going to Germany here, huh?
Yeah, Pacific Poly Pro 16, which has a great string to string friction. It's a super slippery string, 8.3 string spin potential, so pretty high up there. And then
Mhm.
I paired that with Babolat Synthetic Gut 17, which
Oh,
also
good.
has a
Yeah, bring in some
tremendous
gut. Um, yeah,
slippery
that should.
string.
I think the gut, because you always have to be careful when you're using gut on the crosses on a some of those strings. But with that one, it sounds like it's probably okay.
I have
You
a
know.
few clients that love that Gamma Glide. So all they want to put in is Gamma Glide. They like NXT and Gamma Glide. NXT main Gamma Glide cross. So
Mhm.
works for them.
Yep. So yeah, I think you just have to try it on
They
that
came to
because
me
it is
with
a little
that
different.
setup.
Yeah, it's a fairly expensive string though. How much is it? The
Well,
glide, I think it's.
I see it. Some places are selling 120 bucks for a mini reel, but if you just go to Gamma's website and it's in stock, it's like 60 bucks or something.
Oh yeah, so it's yeah. Go to
Yeah.
Gamma directly. Yeah, because
Yeah.
some of the manufacturers obviously don't sell to the retail public because then it kind of then they're going around their reps and their their retail market and stuff, so they don't do that. But I guess some of the companies like Gamma um, and I don't know.
Well,
There's a few other Alpha, I think, and
this was $60
mhm.
and it was 120 feet. So you're getting 6 sets of
Six.
string,
Yeah, you're getting six
six
sets of string.
rackets.
Hmm.
So what is so 6 divided by 60? So there you go, $10.
No,
So
that's
it's
not bad. Yeah.
a little high. I
Yeah.
guess 20
PCS was
bucks.
saying it's like $20. A half set was
Yeah.
like 20. So if you buy just one, you're going to
Oh,
be paying.
if you go to yeah, like Tennis Express or one of them, I don't want to single them out. It might have been someone else was selling it for like 20 for a half set. If you
Yeah.
just go to the Gamma website and just get
Mhm.
it off Gamma, it's half that
Yeah.
price. So,
Yeah. We'll have to see about giving some string away sometime in the future.
oh
Once
yeah.
we get to that point, we'll
Yeah, once we get our string from Europe from the
yeah.
symposium.
Yeah, right. I'm not holding my I'm not holding my breath anymore on that one
I'm
because
not holding it either.
yeah, we were supposed to get our stuff that because we for going to the symposium, there's prizes and this year because the way that it was set up and so many companies gave out prizes that everybody was supposed to get some prizes, right? So I was waiting for my stuff and I haven't gotten anything. So
Yeah, I mean, I think even if the Pony Express was delivering it, I think we would have had it by now.
yeah, I think so. It's been what, a month, 2 months
A
maybe.
couple months, yeah,
Yeah, when was that? In November? I don't remember. I think it was
probably.
November.
So it's coming up
Yeah.
on 2.5
Yeah.
months. So
Yeah, I guess we should check, but I mean, I like the European Racket Stringing Association. I like them, but they have a lot of really good information outside of the normal stuff we always hear here. So um, you can find other tennis string reviews there, strings that you don't normally hear about. So it's fun to see what's going on over there in Europe. So
yeah, yep.
all right, Brad. So yeah, I guess that's it for this episode, and I'll try to put the link on. I'll try to put the link for the next live cast on a little bit earlier. I'll try. Maybe we'll need to schedule it Monday or Tuesday, and then I can put it up, the thumbnail, so that everybody can kind of set their time for that. So
okay, sure,
yeah,
yeah,
I'll do that a little better. I got kind of backed up a little bit this week, so
yeah, sounds good. I appreciate the comments too, and learned some
Yep.
things about some of at least CC Paw's setup and what's going on with him. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's what we should do. Let's do some research this week, find out what some of the string setups are of some of these
Yeah,
players, and see if we can find some new stuff, and we'll
talk
talk about
about
it
that.
next week. Yeah, we'll talk about it
Yeah.
next week. So, okay. See you till next time.
Sounds good. All right, thank you.